Hi everyone. Today we are going to break through some limiting beliefs because they've been coming up a lot in my life and in my sphere and in everyone I'm talking to. We're totally caught in some sort of energetic loop going on at the beginning of this year. But it doesn't matter what time of the year it happens, it doesn't matter what phase of your life, you're always going to come up against limiting beliefs. And so I really want to just go through what exactly are limiting beliefs, where they come from, how they manifest in our life constantly, how they run our life. And then I'm going to give you some exercises to break through those limiting beliefs. So if you're ready, get comfortable and let's get into it. Okay, so limiting beliefs. So limiting beliefs are also called inner critical voice, inner voice. Some of us like to call it the devil and the angel kind of conflict of arguments, and the devil, the angel saying, don't do it because you're gonna fail. People aren't gonna like you. You're gonna da-da-da-da, all these things. So whatever you want to call it yourself, it is just a limiting belief. And if you are at a stage in your life where you're divorced, you're broken up, you're struggling with finding meaning to your life because you thought one thing was happening and you thought you were on a path, and all of a sudden everything blew up. It's like you hit a landmine and your whole life exploded. So of course you're going to get into the mindset of, what did I do? I'm a failure. I don't deserve this, and on and on and on and go. And what's interesting is that these limiting beliefs carry throughout our whole family too. We have limiting beliefs from before we were even born. So let's talk about where they come from. Limiting beliefs, first of all, limiting beliefs are it's a repeated mind dialogue, literally. It's repeated thoughts, repeated mind dialogue, inner dialogue that essentially stops you from living a fulfilling life, stops you from moving forward in your life, stops you from making decisions that could help you succeed in your life, stops you from making decisions that would help you pick better partners, better job situations. And so where do they come from? Well, they come from many places. It's not just one place. We know a lot about inheritance and inherited love stories. I talk about that a lot. We have a dialogue that we come into this life with. It's inherited. It's in our DNA. It's in our mind. It's already part of who we are. That is something we have no control over, and actually it's something that is in our subconscious, so much so that we don't even recognize that we are limiting ourselves. We just think that this is the way of our being. And then of course we inherit behaviors and thought patterns from our parents, because when we're young, they are our role models, and whatever they do in their relationship is what we see and we model, and we hear all the words, all the arguments, all the love and affection, all the lack of love and affection, and we absorb it all as children, and it becomes part of our story as well, because as we're growing up, we're developing our story about ourselves, about the world around us, how we want to live, how we think we deserve to live. All of those stories get sort of melded into our grand scheme story, a life story of who we are when we are very young. And in fact, studies reveal that we pretty much establish who we are based on what our parents expose us to and how they treat us and how the environment treats us up until the age of 5. So everything that happened to you before the age of 5 is part of your limiting beliefs, part of the whole web of dialogue you have around yourself, your worthiness, and how you feel you deserve to live. So Then we go on and then we start having our own relationships. We start making our own friends. We start making our own decisions. And those experiences then affect how we transpose our story even more. So if we were, say, in high school and we had a boyfriend, and the experience with that boyfriend will definitely become ingrained in our story. So for example, I'll use myself for example. My exposure with my parents was one of volatility. My mother had rage issues. My parents, they were in conflict a lot. There wasn't a lot of love shown. There was no affection shown visibly. They clearly had love and caring for each other, but they didn't speak the same language. So there was always this conflict. So I ended up picking boyfriends in high school that kind of reflected that. Not that there was conflict, but that I would be treated in the same way. Perhaps I was dismissed, disregarded, all of that. So that's the story that I came into with and that I had to work with. And then of course, that same story, again, layers, inheritance, that subconscious, what our parents gave us, what our former spouses and boyfriends have given us, all make this grand scheme of a story. You could write your own book just on your dating. I know this. And then, of course, all of that melts together, and then we have a series of limiting beliefs that we bring into our most important relationship. It's the person we pinpoint and we decide is going to be our spouse or our mate or our significant partner. And we pick that with the veil or energetic, I talk about it's called an aura, but it really is the energy around our body that surrounds us. It actually holds all the stories, all the energy from the stories, the sadness, the feelings of unworthiness are all around us, always mingling. So we're going to use that filter, and we're going to pick that person who fits all those stories. And that's where we are. And that's where you are, because now you're at a point where, okay, I know this. I know I didn't pick well. I know I've got work to do, and perhaps you've done a lot of work already, but there's still this one thing. It's like this one thing I got to unlock. It's like this cloud over me. It stops me from being the true person that I am, shining, showing your real true love light that you want the other person to see. It's still sort of clouding you. And that is the stories, the sounds, the critical voice, limiting beliefs. Lots of them, but we're going to concentrate on just focusing on those ones that really stop us from moving forward in any way. So, we could dismantle all the different limiting beliefs you have, but I really want to give you today the tools or a way to start dismantling the limiting beliefs. Okay, so this is how I just went through where the limiting beliefs came from. I just reviewed how our limiting beliefs stay with us in everything we do, every decision we make. We filter through those limiting beliefs, whatever the stories are for you that you've made up for yourself are in this cloud around you. And that is the cloud that's stopping you. It's like this impermeable force that you just want to torch, just to kind of like start fresh. So, and you can do that, but it's not as easy as one thing. You've got to work on it. So if you were able to see my talk last week about courting, this kind of works hand in hand, okay? Because we energetically court to people in unhealthy ways. And that is the same kind of energy. It's another layer of energy that stops us from doing what we need to do. So I want you to, if you can, go back to last week on the group and look at that video to help you dismantle the courting that you're doing and how people are courting to you. And now I want to really address the limiting beliefs of the stories that you have in your head. So Um, One thing that I come across, and listen, you have to decide what works for you. I have people and clients who hate journaling. It's not for them. They just don't want to write things down. They have difficulty expressing themselves on paper, and that is perfectly fine. Instead, what I encourage those people to do is to really focus on where in the body it feels, where there's stuckness. And when we're talking about limiting beliefs, everything starts in your brain. And your brain and your amygdala, your primitive brain is kind of like the inherited patterning. And then we go into, it's still part of the primitive brain, but it's like the hypothalamus, and it's the other part of the brain that actually kicks in. It's the rational side of the brain. And that makes us say and do things based on those feelings that are in our subconscious and part of our inherited love patterns. So the trick here is to dismantle those thought patterns. We can do it energetically, and I have showed you by tapping when emotions come up. But today it's all about the words. So if you don't like to write down words or sentences, that's fine. But what I'm going to get you to do then is just think of one word. One word that that comes up when you're feeling fearful. So the first sign of when a limiting belief shows up in your life is when you're afraid to do something. And now I want you to switch around the definition of fear. We're all running on fear. I got to tell you, people who aren't running on fear are the Dalai Lama, maybe Deepak Chopra, more sort of, maybe even Oprah, but she's running on fear too on some level. But we're all running on some sort of fear. We're not all enlightened yet. Wish, right? So I want you to make fear your friend. Right now, I want you to promise yourself that when fear comes up, you're not going to shrink away from whatever it is that you're trying to do. And of course, I'm not talking about, if you feel danger and a threat from somebody. I'm talking about the thoughts in your head that are stopping you from doing the things you want to do, not the things you don't want to do. The things you want to do, like present yourself more, go to some networking events, or maybe going to a meetup. You say to yourself, I'm fearful of meeting new people because I don't show well, or I shrink, whatever your story is, the limiting belief is, that's what I want you to dismantle. So the fear that stops you from moving forward, I want you to make fear your friend. Fear helps us by showing us what needs to be worked on. Fear allows us to go, red flag, okay, here's something that's really good that you really need to work on. So let's push through that fear. Let's acknowledge the fear. Let's find out what we're telling ourselves when we're fearful, and let's reframe it. So that's essentially the patterning that you want to follow. That's the method that you want to follow. That's the roadmap. So you're going to acknowledge what the fear is. First of all, you want to do something. You want to go on a date. You want to put on a profile on online dating. You want to meet up with friends, maybe a recommended hookup. Who knows? Whatever it is, if you really want to do it and you are fearful of doing it, and you're berating yourself, I want you to stop right now. I want you to understand that the fear in this situation is a good, healthy fear, because it's showing you need to move forward. You need to work on something here. It's something you need to work on, so let's work on it. Then I want you to acknowledge what you're saying to yourself. And again, if you have a journal and you do journal, write down what it is you're saying to yourself in this moment. Like I just gave you an example. For example, the most common scenario when I'm working with people and clients is they're so fearful of putting themselves back out because they've beaten themselves down so much that the words that come out of their mouths are words you wouldn't tell anybody. You wouldn't tell a stranger. You're berating yourself. You're treating yourself as if you are not worthy of anything. So I really want you to dismantle those words. So for example, I had a client, her name was Jennifer, and she really wanted to start dating. And she went through the program. She went through my program. She went through the steps. Everything was shifting for her. Her heart was opening. She felt great. Her friends were really starting to pay attention to her and call her back. Everything was shifting, except she now wanted to take the step and start dating again because she felt more confident, but she was still really fearful because she just didn't feel that she was worthy enough. And she was saying things to me like, and she was repeating what her ex-husband was telling her, that she was ugly, she wasn't smart enough, she wasn't able to achieve certain tasks, so that made her stupid. So these were really harsh things that she was repeating to herself from her relationship. Once she wrote those down and saw how horrible they were, and acknowledged that she really wouldn't say this to anybody. Like, if these things are things that you wouldn't say to a stranger on the street, let me put this another way. Once you identify the things that you are saying to yourself, I really want you to acknowledge how harsh you're being on yourself. And ask yourself if you would say this to a stranger who's having difficulty, or a friend even, who is having difficulty and really wanted to start dating. So we're going to switch those around. So she was saying all those things. She did the exercise of writing down the words, and then she created her own mantra. And this is something I want you to really embrace as a tool that you can be using every single day, because this is a tool that professional athletes use. Like people, the people who are doing the most successful in business, those people worked hard at it. There's so many people who weren't handed success, and you know this. You've seen the rags to riches stories, and you wonder, how could they do it? This is how they do it. They look at what's blocking them. They look and identify at the negative self-talk, and then they reframe it. And they have a coach to help them, because the coach is constantly reinforcing, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. Okay, that thing didn't work, let's try it another way. Okay, that didn't work, let's try it another way. That's the way it works. Let's keep at it. Let's do it and do it over and over and over and over and over every single day. And that's what you need to do. I'm your coach, and I'm going to keep at you to do this. But I want you to do this yourself. This is for you to do. I can't make you switch your mind. I can't make you dismantle that horrible cloud of negative self-talk. I can't do that for you. This is your work. So today, write down exactly what those words are, the sentences that you're saying to yourself that is stopping you from moving forward in your life, stopping you from doing the things you know you want to do, you know will be better for you, you know they will allow you to shine, because inside is a shiny, shiny, beautiful person who wants to come out. And I want you to come out, and I want to see you, because I know you're in there. So write down those negative self-words on one side of your sheet. On the other side of the sheet, I want you to write down the positive version of those words. Okay? So, I feel stupid when I don't have the answers to a question that somebody gives me. It's just an example. On the other side, you're going to write, I have the capacity to learn how to do this right, or to answer questions correctly. I have the capacity to learn how, and I am going to work on improving how I respond to requests. Okay, that's a little long, but do you understand what I'm saying? It's the positive versions. I'm not stupid, I'm really smart, and I'm going to learn how to be smarter. Very simple. So I'm fearful of going out and starting to date and connect with men again, because I feel like I am unattractive. It's very superficial. but it's one that does come up. We don't like to say it, but as females, when we reach middle age, we feel like, oh, things are falling apart. I wasn't as energetic. I wasn't as beautiful. I've got gray hair. It's all bullshit, because really, men don't care about that stuff. Partners don't care about that stuff. What they care about is your energy and the amount of excitement you bring into the relationship and how you connect on a fun level. So if you're always gloom and doom and berating yourself and saying, oh, I can't do this, I'm such an idiot, that's not going to attract anybody. Okay, it doesn't matter how you look, even if you were the most beautiful model. If you're a negative Nelly, no one's going to want to be with you. So let's push aside all that stuff, all that talk, and say, I am beautiful. I am a beautiful person. I am a lovely person. I bring happiness to people. I love to shine. Okay, so that's the simplicity of this. The hard part is, once you identify, pick 3 things. Pick one thing that you really want to work on. But if you have more than that, pick only 3 today. And write the words, and then create the opposite sentence to that negative sentence. And once you create the opposite, more positive sentence, I want you to put it in various places in your house and in your living quarters. So I want you to write it down, put it on your mirror in the morning, make it a screensaver on your phone, put it on as a sticky on your workstation at work, or on your laptop at home, place it on your fridge, anywhere that you can see it, that is going to constantly remind you. You're going to be your own coach away from me, and you're going to do that for yourself every day. And the way you say it, and the way you say these things, is before they even show up. Because what you're doing, remember, you're trying to reprogram the inherited bullshit story that you were given from birth, from your parents, and from horrible past lovers. That's all bullshit, and you're going to push that aside. You're going to reprogram all of that right now. So first thing you do when you wake up, you're going to say those positive sentences to yourself. Throughout the day, especially when you feel fearful, you're going to pull out your little card or whatever, your screensaver, and you're going to say those words to yourself in a positive way. Again, I want you to repeat them like 20 times if you can. And so it becomes your own personal mantra. I am capable of being successful financially. I welcome positive feedback. I am capable of creating beautiful, loving relationships. Okay? So whatever they are, that is going to be your mantra. You're going to say it throughout the day. You're going to say it especially when you feel fearful of doing something, and you're going to say it to yourself at night, and repeat and repeat and repeat until you fall asleep. If you do this for the next 20 days, you will effectively switch your brain programming to no longer feel those things, so to no longer think those things about yourself. This is how athletes do it. This is how high performers do it. In so many books that I've read about high performance attitude or high performance behavior, successful B5, whatever, high performer behavior patterns, whatever, I can't remember the name of that one book that I just read recently. This is what they do. This is how they do it. They reprogram, and it's repeat, 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 so that you can switch your habit around how you talk to yourself, how you limit yourself, and how you stop yourself from moving forward in your life. So we looked at where limiting beliefs came from. We talked about exactly how they manifest in your life and how you've developed your own limiting beliefs. And now we've dismantled and talked about how to dismantle the limiting beliefs. By doing this exercise, I want to totally get your feedback. I want to check in with you in 20 days to see exactly where you are and how you have changed over from feeling badly about yourself, feeling stuck, feeling anxious, feeling panicky, feeling unworthy, to completely shifting over and feeling absolutely worthy because you are worthy. That's all that is life. It is about you being successful. It's not about you being in this place. This is a temporary position that you're in. This is very temporary, and you can get yourself out of it by switching those limiting beliefs into positive self-affirmations or mantras. I like to use mantras because we repeat, 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 and it becomes our new dialogue of how we see ourselves. So please let me know how you're doing. Let me know what your limiting beliefs are. Give me some words that you're struggling with right now. And if you can't seem to find the positives, let me know in the group. Type down what you're working with today, tomorrow, the next day, and I'll help you reframe those so they become your mantra. Okay, so thank you so much for joining me today. Remember, you are amazing. You are perfect the way you are. Just be kind to yourself today. Speak to yourself and your inner voice with encouragement, as if you were your own best friend, your own coach, and a little bit of coaching from me on the side. Okay, take care. Love you. Bye.